Yeah, thanks very much. So I'm Ian Hinitt. I'm the head of estates at Tameside Hospital. I think first and foremost, I'd just like to say that this isn't my slide deck. I'm standing in at very short notice for a colleague who's been taken ill. So best wishes to Laura Swan, who's our head of environmental sustainability at Tameside. So here we're depicting some lovely steam boilers, and I must confess that I used to be an apprentice. And I'm very proud of that. My apprenticeship taught me everything that I need to know in life. It taught me that if there isn't a tool to fix the job, I make the tool to fix the job. And I use that metaphor in everything that I do in life now. So our steam boilers here are 7 and 8 tonnes an hour, and I've been brought up on steam. But our scheme is about de-steaming. So about Tameside Hospital, so we're a stereotypical NHS organisation. We employ 4,800 teenagers. I say teenagers because everyone leaves the lights on and opens the windows, etc. You with me? We've got just over 500 beds. So we're stereotypical in every way. We've got £37 million backlog, which contributes, of course, to 13.8 million of the total NHS backlog. I've been there 22 months now, and our starting position, I'm not going to reference the 3 or 4, the first 2 bullet points there, but in terms of our heating infrastructure, we've got these 2 steam boilers, and in February, just a month after I joined, temperature outside -4. There was an issue with the hot well, and both steam boilers failed with no primary heating for 8 hours, and it was twitchy. It was awful. It was a close call, close to calling a major incident. We managed to get them back up and running. But you know, that in part is due to the backlog that we carry. It's also in part due to something that's also stereotypical in the NHS, a lack of funding. I know that I'm not on my own in discussing funding. So our internal capital at Tameside is 3 million a year, and that 3 million is spread between IMT and clinical engineering. That takes 1 million. Minor works takes 1 million, and backlog, high-risk backlog maintenance takes 1 million. So clearly replacing steam boilers with that level of funding just wasn't an option for us unless we innovated with something different. So that was our starting position, and I was adamant that we were going to fix the problem. I've worked with CEF very successfully whilst I was at Rotherham as Director of Estates and Facilities over there. We delivered a £12 million scheme, so thank you for that. That's in success and online. So I thought I'd reach out to CEF, and we had a good conversation, and we put a bid together for PSDS 4 funding. So the aim of the project, well, for me, of course, it was about replacing the ageing infrastructure. You know, not having those sleepless nights about worrying if the boilers are going to go off. But actually, it was more than that. It was far more than that. So, you know, today we're talking about energy and sustainability, and some people have heard me give my definition of sustainability previously, and I'm not referring to greenwash. I would refer to sustainability as being simply sustaining a service within the limitations of scarce resource. And at Tameside Hospital that has limited resource, then sustaining the services is sustaining healthcare to our stakeholders in the Tameside area within the limitations of our budget. How do we do that? Well, we become efficient as an organisation. Efficiency is a derivative of work. Work requires energy, and energy has embodied carbon. So we do go all the way back into the carbon cycle. But it's interesting for me to be in a position where we can raise the profile of what we do as an estates and facilities service in an organisation, generating grant funding opportunities, ultimately to negate backlog. So we're looking at de-steaming. We're going to be enhancing lighting in certain areas. installing new building management system, and upgrading ancillary equipment, air handling plants, etc. So in terms of project initiation, well, CEF and their expert team have been really, really helpful. I don't think that we could have done this without them, but we've got a default and a fallback position with CEF in our application for PSDS funding. If we were unsuccessful, then we were going to do a straightforward commercial ESCO. That was an option for us. And my driver for this, at the end of the day, has always been about the cash. It's been about the financial sustainability, and it's been about having a positive NPV, which we've managed to achieve. So the usual CEF process is that they offer up appropriate contractors that are pre-selected on their framework. We had a bidder day where we presented our case, and we've selected 3 bidders for shortlisting, of which some of the bidders are here today. And we've gone through a process of tendering, and we've now appointed our preferred bidder, and we're on a journey. So, talking of the funding, so PSDS, of course, is no longer an option for us. That scheme's been closed down. I previously worked with CF, as I've said, at Rotherham. That scheme was a commercial ESCO, but we were able to vary the contract. What I like particularly about CF is the journey of the 15-year contract. I would fully expect that we'll be varying that contract along the journey to embrace other funding streams that become available, or other technologies that become available during that journey. And indeed, whilst I was at Rotherham, we were able to introduce a PSDS opportunity. I think it was about 5 or 6 million that was already on top, and we varied the contract to great effect, brought in battery energy systems and a whole host of other technologies. So we've been successful in drawing down our grant funding, which requires a 12% contribution from us. And frankly, that's a big ask. That saps out of our organisation. That's 1 million that we've got ring-fenced for backlog, but it's going into the right thing. And here we're talking about now reducing our backlog by about £6 million, which is super, it really is. Sorry, just talking of that backlog, so of course once we've actually funded and expired our contribution over the 3-year contract, the 1 million that we have ring-fenced, of course, could continue to be invested in our backlog, but actually because we've already reduced and negated a good proportion of our backlog, then that can be recycled into patient-facing services. So you can see that you really start to gain the favour of an organisation. All of a sudden that has limited funding, you can bring it in for ward refurbishments and things that are really at the heart of our business, which of course is looking after patients. The do minimum in the dark grey, and then our current targets in the red dotted line, and our target is shown there by the blue line. So we're going to be well ahead of the trajectory in taking us towards net zero. But coming back to net zero, for me again, looking at the positive NPV that our scheme is delivering, the scope for hopefully future grant funding, and of course our ability to vary the contract at any point during its 15-year life, I would expect that we're going to be bringing on other technologies, and later on in the slide I'll be talking about one of those. So we have a sister hospital, Stockport. We actually share our board of directors are shared between the 2 sites, but both sites are sovereign in their own right. But it's interesting because now our shared board has an objective for us to collaborate, and we are doing so on the success of the scheme that we've introduced at Tameside. We're now in a position where we've engaged CEF, and we're heading into funding as an ESCO for a similar scheme over at Stockport to decarbonise, and that'll be a fully commercial energy service contract. So we've engaged and we've got a viability, and it's showing a very strong, very positive net present value, which I'm delighted to see. And that's going to be aligned and working alongside an existing established project which is heading into a district heating network. And the viability scheme there looks at installing CHP, dare I say. So that's an interesting concept, isn't it? Putting CHP in, gas-fired CHP, where we should actually be, degassing all of our plants. We see this as a transformational and transitional opportunity to net zero, because we're going to be sweating that as a cash cow and ring-fencing some of the savings for further future investment in decarbonisation. A really exciting project that I'm delighted to be able to tell you about is a hydrogen fuel cell opportunity that we're embarking on. So Andy Burnham, Right Honourable Andy Burnham, went to Japan in 2004 on a trade mission, and any local people from Manchester will of course realise now that Manchester is twinned with Osaka in Japan, and there is a Manchester week. So Andy Burnham came back with an MOU with the support of several organisations, but in particular Panasonic, and I'm delighted actually to be joined by Yuji Amasaki here, who's from Panasonic, and Yuji will be joining me just to tell us about the technology in a few minutes. So Tameside have competed with the great and the good in Manchester, expressing interest in installing a hydrogen fuel cell, and we've won that in the true spirit of competition with several blue chip organisations and the great and the good NHS in the area. And our installation is looking at 100 kilowatt hydrogen fuel cell, 200 kilowatt PV, and a battery also. So this will be the first of its type in the UK. Really interesting, really exciting project, and we're going to be using it to heat back office areas associated with our de-steaming project. So at this point, I'd just like to invite Yuji over to tell us in his terms about the technology of hydrogen fuel cells.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yuji Hamatake. I'm a senior manager of the hydrogen business in Panasonic UK. For Panasonic, hydrogen fuel cell technology has a long experience, more than 20 years, starting from residential application, now more commercial and industrial application. So this technology is utilizing hydrogen, 100% hydrogen, pure hydrogen as an input to generate heat and power by having chemical reactions with oxygens. So this is a well-proven technology. So this time we try to implement this to contribute to the NHS target net zero by 2040. So more detail for what this technology is that we say Panasonic HX. So this means that so based on the Panasonic hydrogen fuel cell technology, so of course the first thing to target net zero is more renewable energy source like PV powers. But of course this is more volatile. So to mitigate such volatilities, so we try to implement hydrogen fuel cell to support more baseload powers. Of course, the rest to meet the demand, we include batteries. So to try to this optimal control with our also software, in-house software technology, EMS. So we try to optimal control to meet demand with these three systems. So this is our basic technology. So then, so currently we have been discussing with Tameside NHS how to deploy this technology. Of course, but this is as a starting point. But of course, our future technology, how to deploy to target for future NHS in UK's this technology to contribute to the net zero.
Thank you, Yuji. So in conclusion, we're on a fantastic journey. We're a small to medium-sized NHS hospital that not many people have heard of, and we hope to be shining light on some fantastic technologies. And all of this has been supported by the CEF, of which we couldn't have achieved our successes to date without the support. So thanks to CEF colleagues. So that's the end of my presentation. On behalf of Laura, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Really interesting to hear about the hydrogen travel. You've got on there about Salton Power providing the hydrogen. Tell us a bit about that. Are they going to have enough? The chronic lack of hydrogen supply in the UK is stopping a lot of us kind of moving towards a hydrogen-based economy. It'd be interesting to kind of see why you think that's viable and a route that you could go down.
Yeah, thank you. So, of course, the fuel cell that we're going to be installing is going to have to run off of tankered gas. So you're right. I mean, it's a relatively emerging technology. It's successfully embedded in several industries. I think that Panasonic have got a facility in Cardiff. But yes, absolutely, we're going to be working towards a pipe network, which I understand is going to be available in 2030. So it's not a million miles away. The only way that this is going to give us a good net present value is if there is a subsidy on the hydrogen, first and foremost. And that's going to have to be pitched against the spot point for natural gas. In terms of supply, we've met with our supply chain already, and we understand that there is sufficient for our installation. And having attended a session earlier at 11 o'clock in Room 8 on hydrogen, the discussion is all about developing pipe networks and about the supply and demand. The prices, of course, will come down as demand increases, but the only way that we're going to be able to achieve this is through subsidy at the moment. So hopefully that answers your question. Cool. So in terms of the cost of hydrogen, of course it is more expensive than gas, and as an NHS organisation it's incumbent on us to ensure that we're delivering best value. So the question has to be asked, why would we go for an option that's going to cost us more money? I think that the only way that this system will be viable if we receive a subsidy, and I believe that there is a subsidy on offer for this as an early adopter. But there is a gap between the price of hydrogen and natural gas, and of course over time, due to pressure to decarbonise, the cost of gas will go up, and the cost of hydrogen will come down.
Well, thank you very much, Ian. That's a superb presentation. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.